so today we're going to talk about the Dewalt 735. This is a planer that I've used in my shop now for about 1.5 years. And I have been incredibly pleased with it. And I'm going to talk about all of my thoughts on how good of a job it does, where it has some challenges, and things like that. But before we do that, I'd like to talk about today's sponsor of the video, and that is Artisan Woodshed. Artisan Woodshed is a business that my wife and I started, where together we both make end grain and edge grain cutting boards, as well as charcuterie boards. We do things out of resin, whether that's really wonderful charcuterie boards along with wood, or whether it's river tables or anything in between. We do a lot of that. Historically, we've marketed to hotels around the area due to my background in that industry. And it's mostly luxury hotels and have done quite well with that. But we've just branched out and started selling to the general public, and that's just getting started, which is causing this channel to get started. So check that out, www.artisanwoodshed.com. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, this is a planer that I definitely needed a planer because, as I just mentioned, I have to mill a lot of lumber. I buy all my lumber rough milled. We have 2 lumber mills, pretty large and extensive lumber mills in this area. I live in Central Florida. Got one over in Lakeland, which is about 40 minutes away, and one over in St. Petersburg, which is about 1.5 hours away. Depending on what we're looking for, one has wood cheaper than others, but they both have an outstanding selection. But it's all rough milled lumber that has been kiln dried. So when we get it back here, I have to, take it first and kind of get the 2 faces planed off, and then I'll go through the jointer, and then do the things that I need to do to get that flat, as well as get the right thickness of the boards. All kinds of uses that we all know that you use a planer for. Ultimately, this has been a very valuable tool in this particular wood shop. Ultimately, I'm going to talk about the things that I really like about it, and I'm going to talk about just really only one thing that I don't like about it. And so let's kind of get to it. Let's talk about what I like. This is a very well thought out planer. Absolutely very well thought out. From being able to do basic maintenance on it, use these to remove the top. This also removes the cover over top of the blades. It's got a handy spot for it right there. That makes it very handy, a place for it to go back to. And so that's fantastic. So I like that. The dust collection on this thing is like nothing I've ever seen before. Technically, you don't even need dust collection. You can get it all done without it. I recently upgraded the dust collection to, duct work around the whole shop. I've got a video on that. If you're interested in doing that, go check that out. So I finally added this to it because it gave me an easy way to empty all that sawdust. Because as you know, your jointers and your planers probably give up the most chips and sawdust out of any other tool in your shop. So anyway, when I say you don't really need one, I've done a video out there showing you how to do basic maintenance on the 735, as well as how to clean and how to maintain the deck and in-feed and out-feed tables. You can go check those videos out. But, inside I talk about where it's got a massive fan that is connected to the motor that turns the blades and the rollers and everything. And so, man, that will shoot this stuff out. If you don't have anything connected to it, man, it's going to fill your shop with sawdust like crazy. Now, before I did dust collection to it, I found this little neat resource right here that I just stopped using. I'll put that right up there. And this is just a dust right bag that you can get. I got it at Rockler as an example, and it filters out anything down up to 3 microns, 3 microns and beyond. Filters all of that out. And all of you do is just come out of your dust collection with a 4-inch hose, then go in through here and then clamp the top of it. And then it's got this little thing right here where you can kind of see through it. And this makes it easy because, like I said, you generate there. On days where I'm milling, I generate a ton of dust because I tend to be doing it all at one time. I'll empty this 2 or 3 times in that day. All right, and so that's how we've got that. So I really love the dust collection on it. probably better than any other planer in this particular price range. Speaking of price range, I think I got this one on sale, including it's on its Dewalt base down below. I think I got it on sale for right around $600. I think just a little less than $600, which I think the unit itself retails as of today, which is 2024 in January. Retails around $600, $599 I believe, and the stand's like $179. So they're basically throwing in the stand for free. So look for those sales. Pretty easy to get out there for that. It's so economical, you don't have to worry about finding a used one out there. Okay, and so doing basic maintenance on it is a piece of cake. Very, very easy, very well thought out. If you do decide to purchase it, go back and watch my videos out there on how to do basic maintenance on it, as well as how to keep your in-feed, your out-feed tables, as well as your base plate. Keep that nice and smooth and clean, because that's really important to not give any resistance as those rotors are pushing that lumber through it. Now, I want to clear up something, because those of us who have been doing this a while, we know this, but in case you don't know it, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. A planer does not flatten a board in and of itself. It will not flatten a board. A planer is a thickness planer. It will take a board that's thick, and then as you keep going down and down and down and adjusting, it will get thinner and thinner and thinner. But if you happen to have anything like that, a bow or a cupping or anything going on in your lumber, all that's going to do, it's going to keep that bow or that cup, and it's just going to make it thinner. So if it starts out, I'm going to exaggerate, if it starts out a shape like that, it starts out that thick, it's going to end up that thick with a shape like that. So you cannot flatten it without using a jig, and I'll make a video on how to do that in the event that you don't have a jointer. Typically, you would run one face through the jointer, one face and one edge, and get those square, and then square out the other edge on the table saw, and then bring it over, and then put the face that you just jointed, put that face down, run that through the planer. Because that the bottom of that board is perfectly flat, it will then flatten the top of that board. Because remember, those rollers have a tremendous amount of force that can push down. And so that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions out there, and I thought it was valuable to talk about that during this video. This unit does really need a dedicated 15 amp circuit. If you're trying to run multiple tools on it at the same time, you're probably going to blow your circuit. You don't want to use extension cords with this. It will trigger there's an internal breaker on it, as well as your breaker. My breaker's back over there. It will trip one or both of those, and then ultimately you have to reset everything and get it going again, and it just slows you down. So you want to have it directly wired or plugged into a dedicated 15 amp power source if you want to avoid a lot of headaches, because I didn't initially, and you know what I had? I had a lot of headaches. All right, and so let's talk about some other things I really like about it. This thing is super efficient. I mean, it has no problem eating through boards and things like that. I've yet to run anything through it so far that it could not handle and do an outstanding job on. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about some things that kind of frustrate me about it a little bit. And it's really only one thing that frustrates me about it, because I do love it, especially for the price point. You know, one of the things that frustrates me about it is the size. You can get really a 12 and a half inch cutout at the most. I think technically it's 13 inches or something, but you can't push that. And so when you're doing that, you're going to get some challenges. And I really need a 21 inch planer. And so at some point this year, I will replace this and buy that. And with much heavy heart, I would sell this. But I know whatever planer I decide is on, going to do a great job too. And so ultimately, for right now, this does an outstanding job. Now, when you buy it on sale, I forgot to mention this before, but oftentimes it includes these in-feed, out-feed tables. You really can't see that down there. You can probably see it coming at the top right there down the lower left-hand side. But those are the in-feed and out-feed tables. You can just raise those up to make a smaller footprint out of it. But they don't come with it. And so they're a paid upgrade. So if you wait for that sale, you typically can get the base, the in-feed, the out-feed table, as well as a planer, right around $600. So kind of do that. So Now, when it comes to blades, if you're doing a lot of resin-based stuff, you're going to have to change your blades. Now, these blades, each blade, there are 3 blades on it, and they can both be used once on each side. So once you're ready, instead of needing to change it, you take them out, you turn them around, put them back in, and you do that on all 3 of them, and you've got perfectly brand new blades all over again. Again, watch my video on how to maintain it, where I talk about how to change the blades and some tips along the way on things to make that process easier. It is overall easy. And speak of maintenance, maintenance on this thing is a piece of cake. There's so much to love about this planer. It's done a lot, but it does have some limitations. Now, if you don't do resin, I'd probably recommend you upgrade to a helical head on it. If you're just doing wood and you do a lot of it, now this only makes sense if you do a lot of it, because a helical head will give you a much smoother cut and much more, I guess smooth, lack of better terms. It'll cut better. It'll cut with less resistance, all those things, but they're pricey, okay? And changing blades on those suckers, although that's a different story for another day. But you also get 4 uses out of each one of those helical blades, but you've got a ton of them in there. So anyway, so that's something, because I will be buying a planer with a helical blade on it when I do upgrade. For the price, this bad boy just can't be beat. Now you're asking, you probably already asked this before I got started, Barry, is Dewalt paying you to do this? No. Has Dewalt given you this to do this? No. Dewalt has no idea I'm doing this. First of all, this channel's not big enough yet to have any sponsors like that. But I do have another channel out there called Studio Talk on YouTube. I'm a musician. I've got a home recording studio, and I've been teaching people how to do that for several years now. And that particular channel's done quite well. So if you fall into that category, go check that out. While you're out there surfing the web, don't forget to go to www.artisanwoodshed.com and see what we've been working on lately. We try to keep that website up to date. We could probably do better, but we try to really good. But you can check that out in case you're curious. And other than that, if you need a planer and you can afford this one, this was in your price range, I would not buy. If I'm in the sub $1,000 price range, I'm not considering any other planer than this one. Personally, I wouldn't consider them. I did a ton of research out there before I bought this thing, and so I wouldn't waste my money. I would upgrade. I would save more money. If I did have to get one and I didn't have money, I just had to get it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel bad about that. But if you do that, go with a Win. Win makes great products for a very reasonable price. Is it as good as this one? No. Will it do a great job for you? You bet you it will. It will. It will. All right. So do me a favor, leave some comments down below. If you've got this particular planer, tell me what you think about it. Tell me if you like it. Otherwise, if you have any questions about it, put those down below. I'll do my very best to reply to them and answer those questions. If I don't, maybe somebody else will. And don't forget to, like I said, like and subscribe to the channel. So until next time, hope all of you have a great day. Enjoy woodworking. It's a passion. It's a love. Be creative. Just get out there and do it. Kind of be like Nike. Just do it. Hey, did I get a copyright infraction for that? I don't know. Anyway, go away. Bye-bye.